never read an essay of mine out loud before, but I deemed this one worthy of starting that. This essay is about how mechanical watches are important, and to preface this essay, I'm not a watch collector, but I appreciate the artistry behind them and the mechanics that are so painstakingly designed to make them work hundreds and hundreds of hours at a time. I figure most of you aren't into watches, but maybe you will be after this essay. So I'm going to begin. I hope I can keep your attention. It's a very intriguing essay. TikTok influences the intricacies of a very expensive hobby and the importance of one of functional artisanry's last holdouts. Got your attention, didn't I? No, I'm not referring to the popular social media app. I mean watches, specifically automatic and mechanical watches. Though we will start by indulging in the observation of Quartz watches, as they have their place in watchdom. The watchdom that I have found myself observing recently. It is the observation of the modern Quartz watch that is integral to the understanding and appreciation of their ancestral mechanical past. Seiko invented the Quartz watch in 1969 with the Seiko Quartz Astron 35 SQ, ditching watchdom's strictly mechanical past for a quasi-mechanical battery-powered future. With the atomic age's machine-o-matic appeal, lower prices, and astronomically better timekeeping, Seiko hit it off and started a revolution in the industry that wouldn't be matched until the Pulsar LED in 1970, which was the first true, entirely digital watch. Now you have to remember, Quartz watches still have mechanics in them, but they rely on a circuit, so they have a quartz regulator, a motor, and all that, so they're quasi-mechanical / electric. Seiko had achieved every manufacturing engineer's dream. Fewer moving parts, easier and faster manufacturing, and of course lower costs came with that. However great that revolution may seem, like most, it caused a denigration of a past of artisanry, craftsmanship, and dexterous handicraft in the eyes of the mainstream. Why own a slow, clunky piece of art when you can own a lighter, more accurate, self-sufficient, and better Quartz watch? And don't forget, cheaper too. Quartz watches are convenient. My go-to down and dirty work watch is a cheap yet stylish Quartz watch. One can rely on it for all of its advantages, and the Quartz revolution is just that, revolutionary. You can buy a much less worrisome watch that looks just as good and is just as stylish as a mechanical one. In appearance, they are great. In convenience, they are even better. However, I'm not letting the dominion of Quartz manufacturing off that easily. I have a couple of critiques, if you will, as you're about to see. The Quartz circuit board has disengaged generation after generation from their timekeeping. One can set their Quartz watch down and put it in a drawer for 5 years, should one want, never having to worry about it, never having to get it maintained, wound, oiled, or even, think about it. Sure, one might have to change a battery every so often, but rarely so, if ever, and one could just disregard the effort altogether and buy a new one instead. Despite the Quartz dominion, it is very impressive how well some manufacturers have preserved the mechanical art and jumped over the hurdles of our modern throwaway society. Fortunately, market trends suggest that mechanical watches are seeing a comeback. But why? Is it just for aesthetics? Perhaps to show off? Though that may be part of the equation, and I believe it certainly is, I didn't feel like that was the answer to me, so I kept delving deeper. Mechanical watches typically lose between 5 and 10 seconds a day. need to be maintained every 3 or so years and are susceptible to more wear. And of course, getting a watch maintained means a recurring expense that some people probably don't want. One could argue that batteries are also a recurring expense, but we won't get into that any farther. Anyway, so why are mechanical watches still produced, despite being so outdated and expensive? Well, let us go straight to the source and see if contemporary watch manufacturers know. I would hope they know, since they make them. Let's start with Rolex. Rolex provides a catchy but seemingly useless mission statement to make the planet perpetual. What does it mean to make the planet perpetual? For proper context, their slogan comes from a 2019 initiative to encourage exploration and the average adventurer's protecting of the planet. All good things, but not very revealing as to why they make mechanical watches. Albeit a good watchmaker and a huge player in modern watch production, I would say their name and prices are a bit unjustifiably inflated, as most watch connoisseurs will have you know. Apparently, their current mission is a little inflated too. From this, one should learn that the most popular does not necessarily mean the most meaningful. My mistake for going to the most popular first, I suppose. I then moved on to the next watchmaker I had in mind. I had no order in particular I was going for, just whatever I felt like researching at the time. Patek Philippe, a Swiss watchmaker founded in Patek Philippe, a Swiss watchmaker founded in 1839, had this to say for a mission statement: to be the leader in high-quality watchmaking for the next 100 years. Wow, okay. Fair enough. Simple, straight to the point, and honestly, with mission statements, getting straight to the point is more important than listing a huge essay as to why you do what you do. So, respectable. Patek Philippe obviously sees a future in the production of mechanical watches, but why? Why keep producing mechanical watches for that long? Why pour 100 more years and millions of man-hours into designing thousands of mechanisms for watch after watch? Why put in the time to engrave part after part, by hand no less, for some of their watches? Do any watchmakers know why they are in the obsolete watch business? Has the ubiquity of precision timekeeping caused them to forget? For some companies, yes, of course. Everyone gets caught up in the ubiquity of new technology, but not everyone does, especially people who keep a hold of their legacy, I suppose. So, obviously, not for all companies, as they still produce mechanical watches. I couldn't really find why most mechanical watch manufacturers still produce mechanical watches. Couldn't really find why people still manufacture these and pieces of antiquity, if you will. But I have a theory. To me, it appears that the modern production of these ornate mechanisms of the past is perpetuated on an unspoken desire. These companies want to produce mechanical watches, but I don't believe they know why. I do. At least I think that I do. From all my reading and personal observation, here is what I believe that desire to be. Mechanical watches are an engaging unknown with a legacy. And let me delve into what I mean by that. There's a lot to unpack here. For the mechanical watch consumer, myself included, there is something primal and mysterious to having mechanical mechanisms working behind the scenes to make your day a little bit more enjoyable. When you are forced to engage with a physicality to wind a watch, when you are forced to learn the intricacies of a machine, to have it maintained, to know what machine to buy in the first place, when you need to know a machine's inner workings to properly maintain that machine, you are connected at a primal level to that machine. You can't work on a precision quartz watch. You can't engage and contend with its parts. You can't dial it in perfectly by hand. It's all electronic. You can't do that by hand. All quartz movements do predictably the same things, and that is to keep time as accurately as possible. Quartz's only room for engagement is every year when daylight savings time comes around, or every 2 years when you need to change its battery. For the watch producers that don't know why they produce antiquity, I believe this. I believe it is the upholding of hundreds-year-long legacies and the challenges of pushing the mechanical limits of those legacies from one watch design to the next. It's not perfect timekeeping that drives them to keep producing mechanical watches. It is the upholding of their legacy and the pushing of their mechanical limitations that drives them. To summarize, or to restate, mechanical challenges and their legacies engage the observer. It is the mechanical limitations that drive the consumer to engage and the manufacturer to improve. Limitations matter, believe it or not. Engagement intrigues. Therefore, mechanical watches are inherently more meaningful than quartz watches, even if they are less accurate and costlier to produce. They have a soul, whereas quartz watches do not. I call the combination between function and art functional artisanry. Though I believe mass production, consumerism, and high-level technology should remain free to operate, it hurts me to see an art and handiwork be traded in for a disengaging, meaningless technology. With that said, I will end my master watch thesis with this statement. Your Apple Watch will not be a family heirloom. Guys, that is my first read aloud essay. Let me know what you think, and I may do it again. You never know. If you wish to read this essay, it will be on my blog. You can find my blog on my social media. So just click on that blog and you can read my essay. I hope you all have a fantastic day, night, or wherever you are in time. And I hope you have a newfound appreciation for watches.